We're going to go ahead and get started. Again, really wanted to thank everybody for being patient and flexible, and welcome to our homecoming panel discussion on channeling. For those of you who weren't aware, within the last few months, our friends at L&L Research Channeling Team, Trisha and Gary Austin, made contact with 3 new Confederation contacts, starting, I think, in April, and I think there have been 3 sessions so far.
3, yeah.
3. Yeah, this is, so what we are going to do is read through a few passages together from some of those sessions. We'll have some thoughts and reflections from our panel, and always everyone is encouraged and invited to ask questions at any time along the way. That's pretty much the plan. Before we go any further, Gary, did you want to provide some context for folks who don't know what the CC channeling group is, or how the contacts were made with the new entities?
Yeah, so the CC Circle is a sort of experimental effort on Trisha Austin and my part. The impulse was born out of a feeling that we wanted to spread our own wings a little bit and move out of the comfortable and safe space that is Jim's living room, which is where 90% of LL Research's channeling is taking place, and see if we could embark on a journey to channel on our own and explore the frontiers of channeling a little bit. And it's very difficult to find time to make that happen. We've managed to squeak out like 2 or 3 per year, something like that. And among the ways that we want to explore channeling on our own include, are there other new contacts out there? And we've been at it for a couple of years now, and that question, we finally began to explore it. Nice. Recently, in April, as you said.
Nice. Trish, Austin, anything you wanted to add to that?
No, that covers it.
Nice. Yeah, it's a really beautiful thing that you're doing, and we really appreciate, of course, everything that you do in addition to that. But spreading your wings and leaving your comfort zone, obviously, that's a whole nother level. So we all appreciate that. And so for those of you who weren't aware that the new contacts have been made or know anything about them, I think you'll enjoy tonight's time together. And again, invite anyone to ask questions at any point. Just raise your hand or something, and we'll figure it out as we go. Otherwise, the 3 entities go by the name of Tovo, Beyonda, and Halos. So we've got 3 passages that we're going to look at where they talk a little bit about their specialties, as it were, what they specialize in doing. And then we're going to focus on specifically a session where they talked about building relationships with second density entities and healing from war and bellicosity in particular. So again, we'll read through some passages and discuss. So the first passage, this is from Halos, and this was actually from March 28th. And they said, among our specialties and strengths is that of the healing of war, the mending of hearts, the constant attempt to be mercy to those caught in cycles of retribution and bellicosity, to try, as we have said, to offer cool waters to douse or extinguish the flames which consume and burn upon your world, which manifest in an outward sense upon your planet, but which are fundamentally those which burn within your hearts and within your collective. We offer ourselves as channels, as collaborators or sources of information to those who would receive our frequency, those particularly intent upon fostering a world of peace and moving through your planet's transition to a world of love and understanding, to lend our service to help that new world be born. For those of you who are sitting in the back, I apologize if that's too hard to read. I thought about splitting it into separate slides so I could make the font bigger, but I kind of wanted to just have everything in one screen, so apologies in advance. Otherwise, yeah, a really beautiful passage, and what could be more needed in our time right now than to feel those cool waters to douse or extinguish the flames of bellicosity. I love the visual there. Halos, I believe, was your contact, right, Gary?
I wouldn't use your in the possessive sense, but it's still accurate language to say they came through me, yes.
Yeah. Any thoughts on anything here and looking back a few months later?
It looks like great channeling to me.
spectacular.
Yeah, well, any thoughts? Well, this may move into interpretation, which, everybody or anybody's interpretation is equally as valid as mine. Just because a channel or a source came through me or even through Carla doesn't mean that the instrument necessarily has any unique insight into it. But I find the words and the thoughts inspiring, especially as keen as my own awareness is about the ongoing disharmony and bellicosity of our world, and the political sphere and the sphere of war in particular. So,
For sure. Yeah, and I guess maybe should clarify, and again, if I'm misrepresenting something, for sure, let me know. My understanding was that Halos came through you, Tovo came through Austin, Beyonda came through Trish, and not necessarily others. It's like, are you the only three at this point who would channel those three entities?
To our knowledge, yeah. But I mean, and as far as we know, yeah.
Right, but that could change.
yeah, we haven't started dating exclusively per se. with
So it's an
sources.
open relationship.
Yeah, yeah. They're welcome to visit other instruments. Yeah.
We have an open thing going on.
Yeah.
A lot of good non-possession of control.
Right.
Yeah, and like just to clarify, it's the way it just happened is we each had a source that was unique to us when we received the contacts. But I'm sure that if we intended to, we could all channel any of these. I'm assuming, I guess.
And quick insert, it might be worth exploring what the genesis of this was, particularly as Trish was the first.
Oh, yeah.
Now
Can
or
you
later.
share that, Trish? Because I forgot about how you were the first person to make contact with new entity.
Yeah. So, sorry, I'm a little uncomfortable in being in the spotlight. Yeah, it was a goal of ours at one CC circle to try to see, or it was a thought that we had that we'd like to experiment and see if something new came through. And I was the last person in our circle to receive contact for that session, and Gary threw out the invitation, and Beyonda greeted themselves to me, and it was a little turbulent. I liken it to trying to ride like a bucking bronco at a rodeo at first. It was just a completely different energy than I was used to with Quo or, in previous years when we would train with like Latwii, or Hatan, or not Hatan, but Latwii. But with time and I guess if we're talking about relationships, courtship, becoming more comfortable and exploring that dynamic, and then open themselves up to that possibility as well.
Quick clarification, it wasn't necessarily that I threw out the invitation. I just asked Quo or whoever we were channeling
Quo.
through you, are there any other sources out there? It was just seeking information. Any other sources that might want to channel through us?
Right.
And to our surprise, and I think Trisha's as well, she began to receive a new contact.
Wow. So how does the energy feel different? That is a super interesting thing that I'm guessing a lot of people are wondering. What does it feel like to channel your entities compared to Quo? How is it different or similar?
I think the best way I could describe it is just familiarity. I've grown very accustomed to what Quo feels like when I'm in contact with Quo, and Beyonda just feels just a different flavor. For me, it's a little bit more intense. I feel a little bit more challenge when I'm undertaking that contact or interfacing with that contact. But that's, I think, again, just a function of courting. I'm getting to know Beyonda through these experiences, and we'll grow more accustomed and comfortable over time.
Different vibe, would it be fair to say? Different vibration?
Yeah. I guess, I don't know how to describe it, just, a little bit less, how do I want to say this? Quo is familiar, and Quo feels a little bit more, I don't want to say proper, but prim. It feels I don't know, the connection is there, it's easier, I know what to expect. And Beyonda feels like I'm still learning Beyonda each time, and I'm finding new facets every time. So
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you get any sort of male, female vibe or neither? Both?
an energy that feels divinely feminine, I would say, but that's just an impression. I don't know.
That's what I was picking. I mean, that's the impression I got just from the words, but I have no idea. Either of you guys have anything to add? Austin, Gary, anything about how Halos or Tovo feel different from Quo to you?
Like the main difference I feel is like a more flowiness with Tovo. And like Trish said, there's an unfamiliarity, but it's distinctly different. We've described Kuo, I always experience like a hug almost when we channel in a familial sense. And this was much more of like something was just flowing in a sense. And I experienced that during channeling the words too. Typically with Kuo and other channeling that I've done, I experienced it similar as Carla described it, receiving a concept ball and then like trying to unpack that concept ball. But with Tovo, it seemed like there was more of a, instead of a whole concept ball, it was little smaller bits, you could say, to unpack.
I think there was a passage in one of the first sessions where you kind of likened it to a stream. It felt like the trickle of water coming through,
Yeah,
which is,
something like that.
I guess, different from a concept ball, I guess.
Yeah.
Gary, any thoughts?
Yeah, it was really strange that when I first started to receive Halos, they were playing AC/DC in the background, which I was like, why?
Oh, thunderstruck.
We just heard that song, For Those About to Rock, We Salute You song, so it's in my head. No, I've never heard, no, I'm 100%. I am ignore half of what I say.
We do.
Or more. I say absurd things all the time. Yeah, I am less sensitive than Trish and Austin, but it did feel different. Felt more flowy at first, but we've only channeled these new sources 3 times, so like Trish said, there's a learning to dance, there's a courting, so to speak. Yeah, and finally, I did feel a divine feminine presence to this. It seemed to go hand in hand with the substance of what you're sharing there, this quality of mercy and nurturing and, war, bellicosity, those flames of hatred and enmity seem so intertwined with toxic masculinity, and the feminine felt in balance to that. So whether I mentally associated that with them or that's inherent to them, I don't know.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, thank you for sharing. We have lots more passages to go through.
Corey has his hand up.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Corey.
Over here. No, I was going to ask you, I feel like your answers have given me what I think is the answer, but are these all conscious or unconscious channels, or does it vary for the entity?
It's what we would consider conscious channeling.
Rear weight theory, yeah.
Yeah.
The only one on the LL team who has ever done unconscious channeling is Carla, 106 times.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different ballgame.
Did they say what density they were?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, repeat that?
Did they say what density they were?
Yes. Did you have that in here?
I don't, unfortunately.
Okay. I think Tovo said they were very new 5th density. And
4th, I believe.
Yeah, and if you look at the first time Halos came through me, there's an indication that they're 5th, but then it seems to correct and say they're 4th. And I think that's part of me wanted another Latwii style contact. I think my conscious mind may have interfered with that because I love Latwii's precision and sharpness and wit. So I don't know if I was imposing that or not, but likely 4th, I believe.
I'll find out. Other question?
Yeah, this is the first time I'm hearing about this new entities being channeled. I'm wondering, are you guys publishing these transcripts like you do with the Quo?
Mhm.
Really? Okay.
yeah, you'll find them in the main library under CC circles.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, Yeah, encourage people. They're in the conscious channeling library along with all the other channelings. Any other questions before we move on? Yeah.
Does that mean Quo has stopped coming through to you? Are these now your only sources, or does Quo still come through?
Cool, it's still around. When we do channeling, the channeling at Jim's house hasn't stopped. Like Gary was explaining, these CC circles were just a chance for us to experiment. For a long time, we were channeling Quo in the CC circles, but now since they've showed up, we want to focus on them. But at Jim's house, during the regular public channeling meditations, that's still Quo. And like this weekend, that'll be Quo.
Yeah.
I had a question about, I guess, quote two, and in this context, quote being like a principality of three other memory complexes, and we're talking about feeling. And I was, I guess wondering, this familiarity, but is there still also like an identity, I guess, to quote that you feel versus, these are distinct social memory complexes, sounds like?
You guys feel more.
If I understand your question, I definitely get a sense of identity from Quo that is not Hatan, Latui, or Ra. Like to me, it's I can like forget about those three sometimes with Quo. But that's just my own experience. I don't know.
Agreed.
Shared with them.
It's a great question. Thanks. I do want to be mindful of time because I'm sure these three are exhausted because it is the end of a long day already, and it's the end of the day, so I do want to go ahead and keep things moving if you don't mind. Not discouraging you from asking questions. I'm just going to want to move along. I also invite folks, if you get tired of sitting in chairs, feel free to get up and stretch. Feel free to walk around and back or something like that. I do it all the time, so I will not be offended at all if you do. Next passage is from Beyond. This was also from March 28th, and they said, "We see ourselves as aid workers towards healing the relationship between the third density being and the planet upon which you now reside. We see ourselves as bridges for communication between the third density being and those of second, and that we wish to be light bringers so that a more conscious and inspired connection with your various logos can be established and remembered." I was so touched when I read those words and read that passage because I was thinking of the same thing about war and bellicosity. What's more important than healing war and bellicosity? Well, maybe healing our relationship with the planet and with our second density friends. And I think it's such a beautiful thing that you've got an entity who has that as their specialty, so to speak. Do you have any thoughts about this, Trish, like looking back in hindsight at this point?
I will say sometimes I don't really enjoy going back and reading things that are channeled through me because I'm a pretty harsh self-critic. But reading it now, I feel really inspired and touched by these words because it is something that I personally, as 3D Trish, feel really moved and motivated to seek in my life. It's very touching. It's, to me, like you said, it kind of feels like just as important as healing the relationship between each other is finding ways to heal the very planet that houses us and takes care of us. So I don't know if I answered your question.
You did, and I guess that was sort of an assumption I had made that the entities who are speaking through you know what your particular interest is already. Mm-hmm. So they're sensing that and responding to it. And I just think that's a beautiful thing. Yeah. Gary, Austin, did you have any thoughts on anything here?
Nope, not for me.
Just that I really appreciate Beyonda's help in this regard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, too. Any questions? Yeah.
How do you know how to spell your name?
That's a great question. So for me, in terms of like establishing or when contact was first made with Beyonda, it was a bit of a like mind visual experience where the name was just very clear to me, including spelling. Which just to add, I understand it also sounds like Beyonce, and it makes me a little uncomfortable because I don't want people to think that I can't channel and I'm just coming up with a random name.
If it was Rihanna, that might be a different
Right.
thing. Yeah. Beyonce's okay. Yeah.
Well, if you were to channel Beyonce, that would be really cool.
That would be super cool. Nobody would be disappointed
All the
about
single
that.
ladies.
For folks who haven't seen, I think it was probably this same session where they did actually talk about the names. And I was there were so many passages I was hoping to include in here, but I was trying to be mindful of the time. So I've left that one out. But they said something about how the names came about, and it was just something to the effect of they were just trying to choose sounds that would sound different. I mean, they didn't want a familiar sound, something that just conveyed something of otherworldly or otherness or something, and I'm probably misremembering this. Do any of you remember what was said about how the names were chosen?
Yeah, I think Tovo was saying that, especially since when I was receiving Tovo's name, I was like, that's so silly. Like that, it sounds like Mork and Mindy or something, Mork from Ork. So Tovo said that the silliness itself is kind of a part of why they choose the names, to sort of break up the normal third density thinking of what might be normal, what we're expecting, and sort of turn things on their end a little bit to, I can't remember the words they used, but my interpretation is kind of like break up their normal patterns of thought in order to help new stuff come through.
What a beautiful thing. Yeah, the silliness. I do remember that was the word they used. Yeah. So beautiful. Let's take a look at a passage from Tovo. This was later in April 22nd, and Tovo said, "We are available to you in any manner in which you ask of us. We can speak somewhat to the specifics of your query and say that all of the potential manifestations of this surface that you have listed are possible and of great benefit to us. We would suggest that you as a group choose how you would prefer this contact to express itself, and we are more than happy to comply and to meet you where you are. This is not a simple affirmation of your free will, but rather is necessary for your own journey and for what it will bring to you. Your own contemplations, understandings, and desires, and how you decide amongst yourselves to pursue further interaction with these contacts is a central aspect of your journey, and we would not remove that from you and are more than happy to be along for the ride you may save." Yeah, beautiful. And it is worth noting that Tovo, as far as I can tell, did not really express any specific specialty like we heard from Halos or Beyond Us. So Austin, in looking back at this several months later in hindsight, you have any thoughts on this or what Tovo's specialty might be or what direction your group might want to go?
Yeah, I forgot about this completely. Tovo, nobody has asked. I don't think Tovo's been asked yet if they have a specialty, and I don't necessarily have a sense. In terms of this particular passage, it's been a very busy summer, so we haven't had a chance to really talk about how we want to further pursue these contacts. But it's really interesting what they're saying. It's not just about them honoring our free will, but they are saying something about the journey of us as instruments. And I'm not sure exactly what they're saying, but yeah, it's interesting.
Well, and they seem to have the same easygoing, chill vibe that you do have, which is, we can do whatever you want. Ask us whatever you want, and we can do that.
It's not a coincidence.
Yeah. So do you think they would be receptive to questions about ufology or AI or stuff that you seem to have a particular interest in?
Yeah, probably. Like you were saying, I think that they were probably drawn to our distortions like that, yeah.
Nice. Any questions from anyone? Yeah,
Can I ask a very basic question?
of course.
When you channel, how do you feel the word coming? Do you see it? Do you hear it? Do you feel it? What makes you know that it's the word coming from them? Or it comes from the channel?
Gary?
It's different somewhat for each instrument. I get a sense of that concept ball that Austin mentioned in terms of there's just this field of potential, and my role as an instrument is to unpack it to some degree, or dance with the source to navigate it in a way and manifest it into articulated language, to serve as a translator in a sense.
Is it similar to having like a ball of yarn and just grabbing one end and kind of pulling it gradually and seeing what comes next?
Maybe a ball of yarn, though, in that metaphor, there's just that single line, and
Right.
whatever direction you pull it, you're only ever pulling that one line. And it feels like, in the sense of the concept ball, that there are so many associated concepts clustered together that when you're pursuing one line of channeling or inquiry, it always feels like there's adjacent interconnecting concepts that if you like turn the spotlight just to the right or to the left a little, there'd be a whole new line of inquiry to pursue, if that makes sense. So you often leave the channeling, and Carla reported the same as well, feeling like you didn't get it all. Like there's so many, there's residue of unchanneled thoughts that just linger in your mind. And I'll personally often feel like, man, I wish like that could have come through or
Yeah,
something.
it can be frustrating.
That's a great question. Does that answer your question? Trish, Austin, did you have anything to add?
Nope, that's good.
Yeah.
Could you give an example of a concept ball, if it's possible? What's maybe
Those were my best words.
I mean,
like from this channeling, let's say, like what would be, like how big is a concept ball? Like in case like any of us get it or want to know what that even is.
Some have bigger concept balls than others.
Any thoughts on that, Austin? Like,
well, using this as an example, like I was saying, Tovo is a bit more flowy to me. There's less of a concept ball that I experience. But to like use it, if this were, let's say, that's a very abstract thing to try to describe. But using my best effort, let's say somebody asks a question that has a pretty finite answer. It's like receiving the whole potential that they want to offer at one time, and then you have to start like tapping into that. And there is this process that Gary was kind of talking about where they're helping you to unpack it, but at least what I sense is like I can sort of sense the whole thing. I kind of like, I don't know exactly what the next thing is going to be. I don't know what the next word is necessarily going to be, but I can sense that if I just start talking, it's all there. And like, I know that using a yarn analogy, even though like Gary said, there's limitations to that, that I have to trust that if I pull this, say these words that I can sense the whole ball behind that. And if I keep pulling, it's all going to be there. And that's the best I can do, but it's a very abstract thing.
But do you sense that there's like forks in the road along the way? Like you could go in this direction or, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always like the shortcoming of the yarn analogy for sure is, you know, and you know, there's some, Gary's questioned the role of the instrument in this process to some, and it's confusing. Like it sometimes I can like guide which path to take, but it's still like I'm receiving something depending on like I go that way or that way.
wow. Is it similar for you, Trish?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think sometimes I get more different sensory experiences related to that, but sometimes like visually not ideas, but concepts come to me that maybe aren't necessarily in this ball that I'm teasing, but thank you for laughing. But you know, it's or like I've had experiences where I've been gifted like a song. Like we had a channeling a while back that was about peace, and the song "Let There Be Peace on Earth" was like gifted to me in that contact. But yeah.
Is it like when someone asks a question, you might key in on a key word in the question and that kind of creates a concept ball? Or is it more of like really the whole question becomes a concept in itself? Do you have any sense for that?
Personally, I try to not allow my brain, my like Trisha's brain, to impart any kind of importance on a single word or a concept in the question. I just kind of sponge it
That
and
makes
go
sense.
from there.
It's a great question. Great answers. Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions before we move on? Yeah.
What sets your rate of speech? I know there's some channelers out there that speak very fast. I know you guys aren't super fast. Is that a constant set by the contact? Have you ever channeled faster or slower?
You want to start, Trish? Do you mind?
Yes, definitely have channeled faster and slower. And I think that's often a function of the instrument. Like if I'm fatigued or if there's something that's like unprocessed on my end, I'm struggling with a body issue or I'm struggling with some type of mental issue that is taking my energy away from being 100% present. If there's a cat jumping on my lap and distracting me, sometimes that can affect it. But yeah, I think sometimes the rate of speed is just a function of me and not what's coming through me. But I think there's also times where I'm able to reach a level of release regardless of those things and self-confidence where things just flow more quickly. And it's not a function of the body so much.
Gary, Austin, anything to add?
That's a really good question, especially in the context of other channels, because if you listen to other channels, it can be wildly different from listening to LL Research channeling. And so I think a lot about that, and I just have my own personal theories, but I think there's an element of both, a dance between the instrument and the source that kind of helps determine what that channeling is going to look like. And we were trained in the lineage of Carla and Jim, and that's kind of how they channeled, and that's how we learned to channel, and I think that's why the channeling is the way that it is through us, is because we kind of learned from that template. And other channels who teach their students might channel more similar to them. And I think that's there is a human element to it, and I think then there's a adaptation, a dance that happens between the source and the instrument to manage what that's going to look like or feel like when it comes out. It's my theory.
Great question. I am looking at the clock and seeing we've already been going about an hour, and I really don't want to go more than an hour after this. So if you don't mind, I might skip some passages just to save time and make sure that our panelists can get some rest tonight. So again, you saw the dates on the session, so feel free to look them up and read the whole thing, because there's lots of great stuff there that obviously I did not include. What I'd like to do is look at a session where Beyonda talked, I think, at length about our relationships with second density entities. So I want to look at a couple passages from that. This was from, I think, the most recent one, which was July 2nd. And they said, this has been edited for brevity. We are those who have, through our experience, been able to establish deeper connections with entities outside of our own density by means of practice and contemplation, by means of inner seeking and outer seeking. Ultimately, the most potent vehicle for the strengthening of these relationships is the practice of opening the heart to those entities who wish to establish deeper relationships and to be of service to those entities outside of one's own density. One can also find similar means of connection through the intentional practice of opening the heart. Opening the heart may seem to be a vague phrase or idea, and those on your planet may have a sense of what that can look like. And we would say that indeed, there are many ways to undergo this practice, many steps or options one can experiment with to find ways to open the heart. We would add that noting that your journey is inherently shared, that there is no ability to separate yourself from these other selves, no matter their density, for they are all, you included, an aspect of the Creator. You may then form a clearer sense of compassion. You may then be able to stand in their perspective, to view the world through their eyes, and come to a deeper understanding of how your shared journey may look more peaceful moving forward, may be of more mutual benefit, not only to you and your second density friend, but to the planet and the universe as a whole. Ultimately, the movement of the open heart, empowered by unconditional love, will inform the seeker desiring to establish deeper and more healing connections with those of their second density friends the ability to establish a more authentic sense of respect, a reverence, and an appreciation for what this second density other self provides, to see them in their full glory, to witness their unique gifts, and to come to terms with what a blessing each fragment of this Creator truly is. Such a beautiful thing. And you know, as I'm reading this, I'm getting flashbacks to the cat videos that Gary shared and thinking about the loving relationships that you've had with your second density dog and cat friends. Did you have any thoughts, Trish, on maybe how your own experience with animals may have been kind of informed by this or informed this channeling? Or any other thoughts you have on here?
Yeah, I think, as Gary mentioned, we are unable to have children of our own, so we take on the honor duty of raising second density friends in that way, taking on that role as parents, and just viewing them as equals and like co-creators and partners, not, you know, just this thing I'm tending to, has, for me personally, been an experience that has humbled me and has taught me how to open my heart, especially, as you know, these friends are often very unconditional in their own love. And so I'm assuming that that probably is, again, why maybe this connection with Beyonda was made, was because that is something that I make a priority in my own life. Yeah. And also, it doesn't even just, you know, extend to our pets, but, you know, the way that we, especially Gary, tend to our trees in our yard, and when we wake up in the morning and see how beautiful the dew is on the grass. And they're very potent teachers about presence, I think, being in the moment.
For sure. Yeah, so beautiful. That all makes perfect sense to me. Gary, anything to add? Any thoughts on this? Austin, anything to add? Any thoughts?
Just really quickly, I'm reading this, especially the last part, the reverence and appreciation for what the second density other self provides in their full glory, witness their unique gifts. And I can hear all the bugs and frogs and everything, and like talking about each fragment of the Creator. Just can feel the Creator in all of what I'm hearing. So
Absolutely.
just struck me in the moment.
Yeah, and I think anyone who has lost a beloved cat or dog friend would say it's not really that different from losing a child. I mean, they are members of family. It is so similar. That's why I think this is such a beautiful passage and such a beautiful connection to make. I think I had another passage or two from here. Did anybody have any questions? Yeah.
I have a question, but I just want to say, I know I also don't like attention, but I want to praise you for being willing to look at this area, because when I see this, I hear your voice and the love that comes through your emails even. Like when we emailed, I was just like, oh my gosh, just the tangible love that flows from you. I believe that you were chosen at the channel Beyonda because your voice is seen, your energy sees somewhere. I don't know if that lands at all, but I feel love, and the words are just beautiful, and it just, yeah. So thank you.
Wow.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, much appreciated. Anybody else? Yeah.
It's more of a comment. It's kind of silly, but it goes to the name Beyonda. When I was saying it in my head, I didn't hear. I heard Beyonda, but I also heard beyond the. So it's beyond the way that you know. It's beyond the way that you are and how your reality is. So everything, the vibration of beyond that is to take us beyond the levels of self and relationship that we have with second density and with ourselves. So beyond that is beyond it.
That's beautiful. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. This is from Halos from that same session. And I believe Austin was asking the questions at the session, so don't think we've heard from Tovo here. Halos said, the accumulation of cycles of violence and retribution and warfare upon your world have and do create something of a psychic entity upon the time-space realms. It is, as you surmise, that which is fed by frequencies of hatred and separation and domination, and it is that which is a beacon of such energies for those who, in their own work and consciousness, or lack thereof, become susceptible to tuning themselves to these frequencies, that they may be so fed and inspired, and even become an agent or a channel of this war beingness that exists in your world from a more mythological perspective. One could even assign to this entity an anthropomorphized persona and call it a god of war. Or one could, from a more psychological perspective, see it as an archetype. It is a substantial presence, shall we say, in the collective mind, and it is not without agency, but it is also not dependent. It is also not independent of the collective mind. It is not an entity which has arrived from an external or outer plane source with a mission to seed and to sow war among your peoples. It is the living shadow of your own world, which, as energies are wont to do, seeks also its own preservation and seeks to avoid the light in order that this disharmony may continue, that it may live through the energy fields and behaviors of third density entities upon your world and feed, as it were. We would add an unrelated caveat about channeling, and that is that the inspiration we hope to offer to the seeker is that which we hope empowers the seeker to become a conscious being and to bring the light and the love of conscious awareness into the shadows of their own being as well. So beautiful, and I really appreciated this because I think it's so easy to think of all the cycles of war and bellicosity as coming from some external source, something like, say, a space pirate or something that is like causing us to fight in the war and feeds on those energies. And yet, what I'm kind of getting from this passage is it's really more our own collective shadow self, maybe, as it were. Did you have any thoughts on this, Gary? Or my interpretation of that, if that was on target or not?
Yeah. In my read of this, and who knows if my read is the best read, but I think your interpretation is insightful and in congruence with my own, in space congruence with my own, and it's interesting for me in multiple ways, including that. How do I want to say, like, we may have judgment for individuals, maybe even a group of individuals, for warlike behavior, for inflicting harm on other people, but this deepens or expands the point of view so that one sees that there's a greater something in the psychic medium that is kind of channeling itself through individuals, and conversely, the entities are tapping into in a way. And I don't know, it does something for me in terms of considering individual responsibility and seeing that whatever the most extreme cases or the most subtle cases of harming someone else or holding conflict with somebody else, that individual, needs healing, presuming they want healing, but also the collective heart, the collective mind has so much stored residual trauma in it that the humanity as a species needs healing. So that's one thing that comes up for me when reading those words.
Yeah, and we've definitely heard that many, many times before from Quo, and I don't think it can be emphasized enough that it is so deeply embedded in our subconscious for so long. Yeah. You have anything to add, Austin? Any other thoughts on anything here?
Yeah, I guess briefly, I think this was a response to a question I asked about there being a major singular thought form of war, essentially, and that they're talking about this god of war. And I thought this was really interesting. It made me just think of, like, ancient peoples who had a pantheon of gods, and they were external forces. They saw them as external forces that influenced their lives in different ways. And this seems like coming back around to a new understanding of, it is a thing that could be kind of conceived of as having its own autonomy, but it is so intricately connected with us that, like, we contribute to it and then it contributes to us. And it's not this external thing affecting us, but it is still a singular thing that we can reckon with and think about in that sense. So it's interesting that we're coming back to this is coming back to an understanding of there is a God of war in a sense, but it's
In a
not,
sense, yeah.
not this external God of war.
Yeah. Well, and it reminds me of the thing they said in the last sentence there. We're hoping to empower the seeker to become a conscious being and to bring the light and the love of conscious awareness into the shadows of their own being as well, since it's something that works both on the individual level as well as collective. Yeah. Did you have anything to add, Trish? Any questions? Anything on this? I think we've got one more passage we're going to look at, and then we got a pop quiz for anyone who wants to stick around for that. This is also Halos saying, and there are various ways that energies may thread through this collective mind, including through ancestral experience, including through soul family experience, including through the personal, individual journey of the self or group and so forth, that may carry with them certain aspects of this energy within their beingness, and may even cultivate this energy in their own hearts if they unconsciously, or perhaps even consciously, stew and simmer in resentment or hatred or bitterness, and thus participate in and bring to life a flavor of some aspect of this dark energy. And thus it may permeate society in various ways. You are astute to note that it cannot simply be characterized as being war alone, though that is the ultimate expression and destination of the path of separation, or those energies which are of separation. And in closing, we would add that yours is a place of mixed polarity, where sits in the great center of your population that sinkhole of indifference. You are a blend in the spectrum of ratios of ever-shifting positive and negative energies, with some portion of your peoples having successfully, consciously made the choice and developed their metaphysical charge or power in their chosen direction of travel. We highlight this condition to point out that these energies of bellicosity may, shall we say, reach far and wide in your population. These energies may even appear in even quite positively oriented souls, in some lesser or less extreme manifestation or another. But as with every facet of experience, warlike energies of separation offer catalysts which, if used, helps the self to see and to accept the self. These energies of war are not that which is to be fought within the self precisely, but are that which is to be accepted and loved as part of the self, that the light may be brought into these energies and that they may be transmuted with the self toward the way of peaceful being. That's a real ouch thing at the end of the second paragraph where they're talking about these energies of bellicosity may even appear in quite positively oriented souls in some lesser or less extreme manifestation or other. Because, yeah, I for sure would cop guilty of that I often feel those energies when I feel outraged about something. And so this is something I'm always struggling with and working with. Did you have any thoughts, Trisha? Anything here that you relate to or any reflections on anything?
What you just said, that I definitely, I don't know if I could feel like I could wear the hat to say like purely positive person, but I have my moments of that are very humbling in of themselves, of realizing I have these facets within me. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Good answer.
Everyone who's never had a bellicose thought, go ahead and raise your hand. Right. Appreciate it. I kind of wanted to wrap up on this passage because I think it was near the end of that channeling as well. So I'll just ask Gary Austin, did you have anything to add on this? Any thoughts, reflections?
Yeah, freaking run-on sentences
Yeah.
are maddening.
Yeah.
Punctuating the transcripts can be hair-pulling, and that first paragraph there is a whopper. I'm like, do better with the punctuation. It just keeps going and going. You do? It's just a long string of clauses and so forth.
It's energy, so
Yeah.
More expressive.
Well,
It's a concept ball, yeah, to be sure. Yeah.
One has to learn to wield the ever-difficult semicolon in these instances. But
Well, that did come up in another passage where they're asking why Quo tends to be so verbose. And I think they said something to the effect to keep your brain from overanalyzing things and just let the words flow where they go.
Yeah, keep the wheels turning.
Nice.
Yeah, like Trish said, find it, the key takeaway for me is what you highlighted, that, it's easy to cast out the Hitlers or Stalins or whoever of the world, as being in some other category than the one I inhabit. Like, my incarnation, I couldn't do. I don't, I couldn't do what they did, but still, I'm on my own, hopefully lesser extreme level, participating in and manifesting or harboring some form of an energy that's on a spectrum where they are just more manifest. Any energy that is separation based and of conflict, which I have conflict within myself. I have conflict with other humans at times,
Right.
and so forth. So that hit home.
That's a good run-on sentence there, Gary.
I must be channeling, because my normal self wouldn't speak in run-on sentences.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I would imagine everybody can kind of relate to that in their own way. It's been a delight as always, and I really wanted to appreciate your being here. But of course, we do have one more thing to do, one more set of questions, and that is your pop quiz. As you all know, you do represent the next generation of L&L research channeling. But how much do you know about Star Trek The Next Generation? That's what we want to find out. Do you guys watch Star Trek Next Generation? Are you Star Trek fans at all?
I grew up with it. My parents watched it, but it's been some years.
Okay. Well, let's find out how much you know. So I'll ask you 3 questions, I believe, about 3 characters there. See if you can answer them correctly. You in the audience, feel free to share answers with a neighbor if you want. You who are watching this on video at some time in the near distant future, say your answers out loud. We can hear you through time-space. Your first question. Who was Gene Roddenberry's first choice to play Captain Picard? Was it A, Stephen Mocht, B, Patrick Bachow, C, Yaphet Kotto, or D, Patrick Stewart? Do you know any of those names other than Patrick
one of them.
Stewart? Nice.
So I'm going to say D, Patrick Stewart.
Nice.
Yeah, knowing how impossible it would be to imagine anybody else as Picard, I hope for Gene's sake he saw Patrick Stewart as his first choice.
Nice. Trish?
D is the only one I know, so D.
Nice. Audience, any guesses?
D.
Nice. I wish. Apparently the correct answer is A, Stephen Mocht, who I really didn't know anything about until I wrote this pop quiz. He's apparently done quite a bit of acting and still acting to this day, but they're in TV shows I've never seen. I believe at the time of this time, he was known mainly as being the love interest of Sharon Gless, who was part of the Cop Buddy series, Cagney and Lacey. But apparently Gene Roddenberry really did not like Patrick Stewart. His idea of the captain was somebody who would have a lot of hair, somebody who would be French, somebody who would be virile, and he did not see Patrick Stewart in that role. But he was eventually persuaded, and he did finally admit that, yes, he did a great job. Second question. Before playing the role of Geordie LaForge, LeVar Burton was best known for his role in what? Is it A, Roots, B, Reading Rainbow, or C, Rise of the Zombies?
What?
A.
USOB. This is another trick.
A.
A.
Oh,
Nice.
A and B.
A and B. Good
Yeah,
guess.
timing-wise, A.
Austin?
I'm going to say all of the above. I don't know Rise of the Zombies, but maybe it's real, and maybe you're trying to trick us.
Nice. What do you think, audience?
Wait, is this a trick question about like multiple things can come before the Star Trek Next Gen?
Oh, no, you know what? I wasn't even thinking of that. Yeah. Indeed, the correct answer is all the above. Yeah. Everyone who's seen Roots, the original one or the remake, raise their hand. Super powerful, super good. Reading Rainbow, any Reading Rainbow fans? Nice. Anybody seen Rise of the Zombies? I haven't either. I only discovered it in writing the pop quiz, but 2012, I think, and I think the story title pretty much says it all.
2012?
I think so. I think that's when it came out.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, he caught me. Hey, moving on. Next question. Last question. Marina Sirtis played Counselor Troy, a betazoid with the abilities of a what? A, empath, B, telepath, or C, psychopath?
A, empath.
It was A.
Nice.
Psychopath.
A.
Audience? A. Nice. Correct answer is A and half of B, I think. I believe she was able to telepath with other betazoids, but that was the extent of her telepathic abilities. Otherwise, a great character, great known for her empathy, and just a great series. So well done for those of you who are keeping score. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Appreciate it. And thank you, panelists.
There you go.